If you're watching this video at about the time that we are putting it out, you very well may be thinking about golf, but you may be indoors because it is right now, it's Christmas Eve 2020. We just had a huge torrential downpour here in Raleigh, North Carolina. And if you're up in the northeast part of this country, you are getting hammered with snow. So if you're watching this anytime near Christmas 2020, you are gonna be inside. So I wanted to make a video to help you out with something that, boy, a lot of people don't like to work on this, and a lot of people just, they kind of gloss over this major problem that a lot of people have. And the problem is a reverse pivot. So first of all, what is a reverse pivot? Think of it like this. You know, when we set up to hit a shot, I set up here with my club out in front of me. Well, my trail hand, or for me, I'm right-handed, my right hand is on the club lower than my left hand, or my lead hand. And so my trail shoulder is gonna drop down a little bit. You'll notice that as I do this, my spine overall kind of tilts a little like this. And we want that kind of a spine tilt, all right? Well, we wanna maintain this orientation of our spine as we make a backswing, right? And then as we come through to impact. So a reverse pivot is when we change that orientation. So instead of my backswing starting with just my shoulders turning here like this a little bit, usually what happens is our back hip slides back, okay? So if you take a look at my back hip as I make this practice swing, right? That is a reverse pivot. This thing. And it's really, really common, and it's something that's really kind of a challenge to figure this out. And it's a challenge to figure this out and change it because it feels like we have to do two things at once. So when you look at a really good player, and I'll see if I can bring in a picture of like one of our V1 pros over here, you're gonna notice that if I put a line over here on the back side of this player, right? Well, when that shoulder turns, the shoulders turn, the hips don't do anything for a few frames, and then the hips start to turn, all right? This is part of our sequence in our backswing, and this is something that seems easy to do, but it's not that easy if you're used to coming back this way, all right? So I wanna show you how you can learn how to fix this reverse pivot. And I guess before I show you how to fix it, I should say why it's so important to fix it. Well, one is, if you make a backswing, and your hips slide back behind you, when you go to get back to the ball to come through and swing the club towards the target, you're gonna be out of position to do that, and you're gonna end up having to make all kinds of compensations. Either you're gonna have to drive in towards the ball with your hips and have your shoulders come back, which we call early extension, or you may end up just flat swinging over here with an out to in swing path that's gonna cause pulls and slices. So, not to mention poor contact that this is going to cause. So let's get this thing fixed. And please, let's just slow down a little bit on this. And I'd like you to learn this really one piece at a time. So let's start with the first thing. And the first thing is being able to understand and feel, because feel is not real, be able to feel what the correct motion is. So I'm gonna take golf out of it, and I'm just gonna start here with my setup, and I'm gonna bump my hip towards the target and let my head kind of bounce back as much as my hip goes forward. So I'm really just keeping my spine in the same alignment. But I'm still vertical when you look at me this way, okay? So now I'm gonna put my club up across my chest. This is great if you can look in a mirror, and just turn your shoulders. Try to get your chest facing over there, the opposite direction of the target, like that. And I can feel as I'm doing this, I can feel a little bit of like tension resistance in my back hip here. And then after I feel a little bit of resistance, I'm gonna go ahead and just turn a little bit, okay? So I'm just gonna turn and then let the hips go. And I'm able to feel, as I do this, some pressure down here in my back foot, kind of in between the ball of my foot and in between the heel, like in that arch area, right in between there, all right? So that's what we wanna feel. When you first start doing this, be patient with yourself, right? When you first start doing this though, you might find yourself doing this sort of a thing. It's okay, get the mirror in front of you and try to get it worked out just like this. And again, I'm gonna bring up that tour player up here, right? Notice how he's able to turn those shoulders and then turn the hips. So that's the first thing we wanna do. Now, what's happening is if we look down the target line, I'm going to turn my shoulders basically 90 degrees to my spine. So see, my shoulders are really, really flat here. So if I was going to hit a golf ball that was teed up like this, well, then this would kind of work. All right? But the ball is on the ground. So what we want to learn to do, and you're not just going to learn this like that necessarily, but don't give up on it. Keep practicing it. So first off is the thing we just talked about, where you're straight up and down like this. Practice this. Don't even worry about what I'm about to talk about until you can do this all the time. So let's say you got that down. So it's a week later, right? Well, now I'm going to bend from the hips, right? And I want to have the middle of my hips right on top of the bone of my ankle right here. I don't want to be back in here, and I want to be back up there. I want to be right about like there, okay? So now I'm thinking about, okay, I'm going to turn my shoulders and keep this club shaft 90 degrees to my torso angle. Kind of like that. All right? Not this. Believe it or not, we see a lot of this. Okay, it's going to be my lead shoulder comes under my chin, but I'm really just turning my shoulders 90 degrees relative to my spine. You've got to practice this though, because hearing me talk about it and understanding it is not the same as your brain sending the signals out to your muscles. Okay, so again, first, and this is just from working with a lot of people, let's set up, get a little tilt going on here, right? Then I'm going to go ahead and just turn the shoulders. Once I get good at that, bending from the hips more, so now my spine is closer to horizontal, and I'm going to turn my shoulders 90 degrees to my spine. All right? Once you're ready to take some swings, I would recommend putting yourself on video or using the Perfect Motion app. Okay, I'll put a link to the Perfect Motion app so you can access that. But here's how it's going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this thing up. I'm going to go ahead and go into no ball mode. I think I'm already in that, right? Oh, I'm also going to enable snapshots so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to skip the evaluation for now. I'm going to add the screenshots and I'm going to start session. And I'm going to swing the club with the club up against my shoulder. So I'm not even going to make a real golf swing, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and let this thing look at me here. And I'm just leaning against the basket for a range ball basket. Set up to swing. Look to target. Step back, I'm too close. Set up to swing. Look to target. Look back at ball. Now I'm going to make my swing, okay? Turn, turn. Okay, now that said, too far forward at impact, all right? But let's take a look at what's going on with this map, okay? I'm gonna back it up here. Done, and I'm gonna view my motion map. All right, so you'll notice how my position 1, this is my address position, and that's basically my sternum at address. 2 is top of backswing. So you can see in my top of my backswing, my sternum, my whole upper chest region, it moved back this way a little bit. That is what we want. That's actually perhaps a bit of an exaggeration of a correct pivot. But just to see what a tour player would do, I'm going to hit the overlay trace. Okay, so it's not too bad at all. I was a little tall, but other than that, that was pretty good in the backswing. And that's what we're focusing on right here, is just making a good backswing and a correct pivot. I'm going to see if I can get this to show you a reverse pivot, what it would look like. Set up to swing. Look to target. Look back at ball. And let's swing it. All right. So the first thing to do is it said too far forward in my backswing, right? But let's take a look at this map. And let's see what my snapshot looks like. So there's me at my setup. I'm going to play it through first. Okay. So I can see that tilt I've got to my spine. There it is, right there. That is what we want to get out of. So this app is nice because you can see a video of what you do as well as the actual tracking of your body. Okay. So if I go ahead and look at this map, I can see my position 1 and 2 look like the same. 2 is slightly ahead of 1, and then 3 is a little farther forward. So I want to see that position 2 back in my backswing. And by the way, as you look at this, it's like a mirror image. So see that flagstick? That's where I'm hitting 2. Should have said that earlier, okay? So if I'm setting up here 1, 2 is gonna be back there, 3 would be down like that, like in our tour player, okay? So the drill you wanna do again is, first off, just get good at the little tilt and turning this way. Just start with that. Give it a week or 2. Just practice it every day or 2 for 10 minutes. Then we wanna work into being able to do it bent from this way, like a golfer, back here, and back through. Fix that reverse pivot. Golf will be a lot more fun without the reverse pivot. You will hit the ball longer and straighter. I hope that helps. I'll see you next time. And Merry Christmas!